Kids don't remember what you try to teach them. They remember what you are. Jim Henson. Recruitamentary. Empowering your employment. Continuing on our conversation with Brian. Let's go. In your experience, though, with so much focus on prep, I mean, there's going to be a lot of times where even you yourself or candidates have the answer be, no, or the regret to inform you letters, or even essentially having to break bad news to the talent. What have you done personally to keep your head in the game and focus under these conditions? Or what have you passed on to, the same type of talent to, keep them going well once they're under your wing?
Joe, that's a great question. And it's so true, because a lot of the things we do have an emotional element to them, and no one likes to be told no, right? It plays with our psyche. Fortunately for me, and what I try to share with other people I work with, I keep a sales mentality at all times, which is you actually embrace the no's, because if you do the math, in anything worth working for, you're going to come up against some setback. And so essentially you need to get through X amount of no's until you get to a yes. Right. And so when someone tells you no, just reposition that and don't even hear the word no. Just hear not right now, or not yet, or, this isn't the right opportunity. But all it really is getting that out of the way, figure out what you can learn from the situation. Right. In some small cases, there's not a lot of takeaways. Maybe it just wasn't a good fit. And you brush that one off and say, I'm going to double down and get back after it tomorrow, or whatever it is. Or there could be some key takeaways. Maybe you don't do so great in a phone interview. Well, you need to study those mistakes so that, again, preparation, when the next opportunity comes around and the timing is right, you're locked and loaded. So I think it's embracing everything as an opportunity. And even the setbacks have some wins attached to them, as long as you're able to stay diligent and work through the struggle.
Well, I agree. I cannot tell you where I've been prepared for an interview. I'm ready to talk to the owner, the hiring manager, and then you get in there and you realize that the chemistry is just not there. You realize there's a disconnect with the company. The owner doesn't seem like he's been in the office for a while or for long. And it's just so awkward, where you realize they probably forgot that they were interviewing you, and you're just like, why am I here?
Right.
So in that instance, it's better to just say, hey, listen, it's been nice meeting you guys. Excuse me, because you can tell that it's not really going to be a good fit, and you don't want to, no harm, no foul. You're still being, geez, man, if you didn't want to do it, just tell me. I mean, I did take my time. I prepped. I came all the way here, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, you're here. What do we do now? That's a terrible feeling.
It honestly, man, it is. But we all hear the horror stories, and it's real. At the end of the day, these hiring managers and recruiters and anybody doing interviews are people, and we have our flaws. As the candidate, it's imperative that whatever you run up against, and this is for all different people, not just job seekers, but whether you're in sales, maybe it's a marketing opportunity, whatever it is you're chasing down, if the person on the other end is not receptive or not willing, open, or even prepared, you can't let that get you off your game. Because if you think to their level as a job seeker, well, now you have no chance of working at that company, because you're going to get written off. Or if you're a salesperson and you get flustered because your prospect isn't ready for your meeting, well, guess what? The chances of making that sale just pretty much went down, right? So it just becomes about the person taking control of their own situation. I mean, that's kind of sort of the underlying theme of what we're talking about here. And I think the mentality you keep, how diligent you stay in your pursuit of what you want, really sets apart the good from the great, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Not every expectation that you set out there, people are going to honor that. And not every relationship is going to be a good one. I mean, you have companies that you think, I've worked in companies recently where I'm like, oh, wow, this is great. They have these huge contracts. They're making $10, $20 million per contract. This is great. And then you realize you get in there and how they treat people and how the office work culture is and how their infrastructure is garbage. And you go, wow, this is not what I thought it was. Okay. I'm having second thoughts. It's the work is there. You love the work. I mean, again, for what I do, I've jumped across different industries as well. Marketing, design, logistics, you name it. But it doesn't change the fact that if you don't love what you're doing and you don't feel the value being there, it's just not a good fit,
Right. That's right. You know what, Michael? I'm listening to that. I actually could tell you a story about it, if you don't mind, about an experience I had that plays right into that and kind of my takeaways. Not too long ago, unfortunately, about 7 months ago, I was actually laid off from a job, really good job. And the position I took after that had all the promise in the world to be just as good. I mean, the CEO was bought into what we were doing. We were going to grow the workforce, and my role was going to play a strategic element in helping to backfill some of these jobs that we needed to fill. It was a really good deal. And I walked in on day one, and it was evident right away that they were lying to me in the interview process. Nothing was going to be what I was actually told it was going to be.
Oh, man.
I'm sure you've heard those stories before, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got a few of them myself.
I could have just turned around and said, this isn't what you promised me, and walked out. But I had a family to feed, and I had some things that I was obligated to do and take care of. So again, figuring out your next move while still in the situation, they didn't let me go right there on the spot. So I was still doing work, bringing home a paycheck. All the while, I'm hitting network events in the evening. I'm reaching out on LinkedIn and trying to provide value in posts and articles, drumming up a network so that I can chase down my next opportunity. And sure as you'd have it, right around the time they said, all right, look, guy, we don't have room for you on the head count. I had networked my way into a new opportunity and was able to move into a new role. So it goes back to what we're talking about, is taking control of your situation and remaining true to yourself, right? Not letting other people's either negative energy, lack of preparation or whatever get you off your game. Fortunately, I was able to have some success in that. So I just like to share those stories so anyone else listening to your podcast can kind of take that same mentality of how can I take control and ownership over my own situation, and what do I need to do to get where I want to go?
Absolutely. No, I appreciate the takeaway. And that's like what you were talking about before about the gaps of employment. Sometimes you just have to own the gap. I mean, it's really just a confidence thing where if you know that it wasn't anything negative, maybe it was. People get fired as well. I've actually seen, ironically enough, I have now a lot of people inquiring about different aspects of phone calls and interviews and things like that. And you get a lot of feedback about, hey, I took time off to move. I took time off to take this class. I was doing an online course. I was being a mom. I was being a dad. I was through a divorce. Maybe don't say that specifically, but, just say that you were reorganizing. You took some personal time. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think it also validates the humane side of things. We're not robots. We need some off time. Hey, I was working 60, 65, 70 hours a week. And you know what? It just came to a point where I needed a break. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but just own up to it. And hopefully if there is something critical from there that you can pull from there, that you did learn, that you did do. Hey, I worked on my website. Hey, I worked on, my portfolio. Hey, I started doing an art class, whatever.
Right. No, that's it. And I can't tell you how many times, I've had people come in to interview, speaking to people on the phone, and they'll tell you about a negative. Like you said, people get fired or some other things might have happened. The most impactful interviews are always the people that can quickly spin to, and here's what I did about it. Yeah, I'd love someone that can tell you, I stubbed my toe and then I went out and here's how I improved in that specific area to make sure I don't make that same mistake again. If you can articulate that in pretty much anywhere in society, you're going to get a second chance, because we live in a world of second chances.
And that spin that you're talking about, it's really, spin is like the marketing and sales lingo. It's like, I'm closing the sale, but in all honesty, and I'm kind of poking at you a little bit. But the thing is that, again, we all are going to have imperfect records. And if it can come to a point where we can just, again, relay that information of what we learned. Hey, you know what? I was working too hard. I had tunnel vision. I was missing deadlines. I got fired. All right. Well, you were honest. What did you learn from that? Hey, you know what? From now on, I'm going to be a lot more, resourceful. I've done X, Y, and Z. Perfect. Because again, it's going to happen. It happens to everybody. It just happened to you. As long as it's nothing where you have to cover up a dead body or something, then it's forgivable. But that, maybe not.
Yeah, that's probably where we draw the line with it.
Yeah. Have your own recruiter or candidate story that you'd like to share with us? If you're listening on YouTube, comment below. Otherwise, feel free to email your experience to ask@recruitamentary.com. You can find our full conversation of this episode on YouTube at youtube.com/recruitamentary. Thanks for checking out this episode, and feel free to like, subscribe, and share the content. A Mike Tech Studios production.